Hey, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, guys? It's great to see everyone. Hello. It's beautiful to be here. I'm really excited to jump into today's topic because this is something that I really struggled with when I was first starting out in singing. And that was kind of figuring out which technique to study, which voice technique, which singing technique. We're all talking about the same things, but really, what I think vocal technique in this case refers to, and specifically with regards to speech level singing, is something like brand names. So it's kind of like which, hey Amar, which, um, brand of vegetables do you want to buy? Do you want to buy Bird's Eye, or do you want to buy, Kroger brand, or do you want to get HEB brand? And it's like all these different vocal methods really were branded very, very effectively. Um, and one of the big aspects of branding is what we call like a unique selling proposition. What makes these vocal techniques different, and what makes them similar? What are some of the things that kind of overlap, and what are some of the things that make each of them really, really special and stand out? And by the way, I want to actually talk with a lot of people, but I also want to work with some people and even do some private one-on-ones with people. And so if you want to join me, go ahead and just click on that link right there. It's going to ask you to connect to a third-party app called Streamyard. You'll enable your camera and your microphone, and it'll put you in the waiting room right there. And when I have the opportunity, I'm going to invite you in. Now, it is very, very important that you have a good internet connection and have your microphone and camera on. Those are very, very important because it makes for a smoother process for everyone. Now, while I'm waiting for some people to join me in the waiting room, I thought it would be good to actually just start off with a little bit of a discussion of speech level singing and some of the other similar vocal techniques to that. Now, some of these techniques have a reputation for being somewhat litigious, for suing people, for infringing on trademarks and patents and stuff like that. And so, hey, hey Sk, welcome from Sri Lanka. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, rather than just telling you my opinion about a bunch of stuff, I'm actually going to read some aspects of speech level singing directly from their website to make sure that there is absolutely no mistaking what I'm saying right here. So speech level singing, in case you're not familiar, is Seth Riggs' world renowned vocal technique. And speech level singing is an absolute refusal to reach for any pitch. What does that mean? In other words, the larynx needs to stay on a general level of where you speak, hence speech level singing. By the way, some really common questions that people have is like, a lot of people think that speech level singing was designed for speech. It wasn't. It was designed always to help singers. But the kind of core concept behind speech level singing, like they're talking about right here, is this idea of, your larynx, your voice, everything should be as relaxed as when you're speaking. So to go back to what they're saying, speech level singing applied correctly eliminates breaks between chest voice and head voice, increases range as well as ease in which to sing. All musts for singing without damaging your voice, as well as for having a successful singing career. Okay, great. So I'm going to stop there for a second and just kind of unpack this a little bit. So what does it mean, the absolute refusal to reach for the pitch? So this is my opinion, by the way. This is my understanding of SLS. And so the absolute refusal to reach for the pitch, if a pitch is high for you, this is a G4, rather than ma 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 ma, reaching for that note, speech level singing kind of holds that your voice should be as relaxed as when you're just speaking or saying the word. So if I say mum, 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 that's very relaxed. But when I go up to sing the note, ah, ah, that's not as relaxed as when I'm speaking it. So instead, mum, 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 is the idea. So rather than reaching for the pitch, instead, I'm just allowing the pitch. Now, again, that's my opinion and my vast experience with speech level singing and all of that stuff. Now, let's get into some of the fun legal stuff for a second, some of the legal drama, which is fun. If speech level singing is not taught along Seth Riggs' principles, it is not speech level singing, period. If it's not speech level singing, no guarantee of speech level singing results are to be expected. Okay. I like this. I like this phrasing. SLS, or speech level singing, used to be an organization attempting to teach teachers how to teach speech level singing. That's a lot of teach in that sentence. The teacher organization, SLS, does not exist anymore in favor of restoring and preserving integrity and quality of the technique, as well as the name. There are no certified SLS teachers today. A few certified SLS teachers with no other affiliation are keeping up training. Man, someone needs to spell check this. Are keeping up training with Seth and Margareta Riggs as singers. Seth and Margareta have faith in these singers' teachers' integrity and in their upkeep of speech level singing. Now, let me tell you a little bit about where this comes from. So this is my opinion, and this is my understanding, is basically, about 10 years ago or so, there was some drama in the organization that was previously known, the organization formerly known as speech level singing. And as a result, a lot of the really high-ranking master level teachers left and started a similarly structured and similar core principled organization known as IVA, Institute for Vocal Advancement. Now, I actually came into teaching singing at almost exactly that time, just as SLS was falling apart. My voice teacher recommended that I join. And at the time, there were kind of two competing organizations. There was SLS and IVA. And what was happening was my teacher was like, look, I don't know if SLS is going to exist in another few years. So you should probably start enrolling as a teacher in this new organization, IVA, Institute for Vocal Advancement. And so that's what I did. And it was a really, really cool thing because there was all this excitement and there was all this fresh blood and all these really interested people that were really super excited about teaching singing again and teaching other teachers how to sing. And almost like any organization, that comes directly from a different organization, the quality of the teaching was really, really high in IVA, an Institute for Vocal Advancement, because the people that started it were able to really rigorously select who they wanted to be in leadership, give opportunities to those teachers that were maybe kind of left out in the previous organization and stuff like that. Again, this is all my opinion based on the things that I've heard from many, 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 many people about these different organizations. But all that to say, I started as a student teacher. They used to call them pre-certs in SLS, but I started as a student teacher with IVA back in 2013, maybe 2012, 2013. Now, I'd already been teaching a little bit, kind of just winging it on my own before that time. But the really, really cool thing about IVA was it was a really, really effective methodology for teaching teaching teachers how to teach, to quote the paragraph from the other page. And the wild thing about that was also the reboot of the organization, the reboot of IVA, also allowed the teachers to kind of clear up some discrepancies of speech level singing. Things such as, let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, Seth and Margareta Riggs, dude, that's so hard for me to say. Margareta Riggs do not endorse IVA or anyone affiliated with IVA, nor anyone else. And that makes sense, right? It's like someone starts taking your method essentially what is your method and rebrands it as something else, you can't guarantee the results, or you don't endorse them, right? You might even be a little bit mad at them for taking your method and teaching it. And this was always my understanding of the thing that kind of uh drove those organizations apart, was that, or why, Seth Riggs might have stopped teaching, was that, and I've read this in some places, but I'm paraphrasing here, that he was saying it's really hard to teach so many teachers and then see them go off and kind of do their own thing with it. And you kind of have to let yourself, it's like watching your kids grow, and eventually they come to try to eat you. And that's just the nature of the business. Many of those who have trained with me and gone off on their own have gone off to form their own teaching. Among those are well-known teachers such as Brett Manning, Roger Love, and Ron Anderson, as well as many others. Though I'm happy for their successful careers, I don't know anything about their methods today and would assume they differ from mine, focusing on or striving for a different result. Well, my understanding is that even though the results aren't different, even though the results that they strive for aren't different, um, the results are very much the same, to have an even sound from the bottom to the top part of your voice. No breaks or strain. C5 right there. No breaks or strain. Wasn't raising my larynx, really. The results that they want the same. Some of the methodology in the teaching is slightly different. So, whereas, and again, this is just my understanding. Someone was just asking how much I charge for voice lessons. This is the best way to get personalized feedback from me. We have an excellent program called 30-Day Song Master, where each month you learn to sing 2 different songs and you get personalized feedback from me each month. Go ahead and check that out. One of the things that speech level singing, again, my opinion, speech level singing really emphasized was the larynx. The larynx, the larynx, the larynx. If you keep the larynx down, then everything's great, right? And one of the things that I think is really interesting about that is there are definitely cases where that is true, where keeping the larynx down or keeping the larynx relaxed will absolutely help you hit higher notes. Because there are some students who will, and again, this is all my opinion, who will they raise their larynx so much that literally the sound gets cut off. But one of the things that I really appreciated about IVA when it first started, again, this is my paraphrasing of their teaching, was that basically the larynx should take a later place in the chain of things. So first, you should prioritize the connection, being able to sing from the bottom to the top part of your voice, even if that means raising the larynx a little bit. So maybe ma 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 ma. I raised my larynx as I went up, or a na 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 na. I raised my larynx to hit that higher note. Did it help me hit that higher note? Absolutely. Because if I just went na 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 and I lowered my larynx too much, lowering the larynx will actually split the vocal folds apart slightly, making it harder to keep the vibration that lends to really, really powerful singing. And so I thought that made sense. And I know that this is something that Seth Riggs understood and taught intuitively. However, it was kind of like a difference between one of the things that he would talk about, like the virtues of speech level singing being like keeping the larynx down and stuff like that. But in his own private studio and in the way that he would teach his other teachers, he would prioritize having that connection, being able to sing from the bottom to the top part of the voice before addressing the larynx as well. So that to me was a really big difference. And I thought that was really important and very cool. That sometimes when you restart an organization, and I guess I shouldn't say restart because that implies that it was the same organization. It wasn't. These were different organizations, but they just happened to share the same people. It's kind of like if everybody's working in one restaurant and then some of the people that have been at that restaurant the longest decide to go and open their own restaurant, there might be some similarities in the food and the way that things are run and all of that stuff. Very, very common. And that, in my opinion, is exactly what happened between SLS and IVA. So great questions. Now, some people are asking about, how do I actually start, working on some of these techniques with you? Well, I'm going to go ahead and drop a link to the Streamyard right here. That way you can actually join me and get a little private one-on-one time with me live right here, right now. I just dropped it in the chat right there. Now, when you click on that link, it's going to ask you to go to a third-party website to enable your camera and your microphone so that you can actually join me and come into the waiting room and stuff like that. I saw someone earlier, but they dropped out. So it's very, very important that you have a good internet connection because that makes it a smoother experience for everyone. Now, one of the things that I'll say too is I'm not a representative or an affiliate of any of these techniques any longer. I'll have to look up the date at which I let my certification with IVA expire, but it was several years ago. And like any good technique, I'm sure that they are constantly evolving. Maybe SLS isn't evolving because it's no longer an organization technically, according to the website. But one of the things that I think is really important to understand here is the value of marketing. If you just look at the speech level singing website, you can actually see like a whole list of incredible clients. Like it's like endless. These amazing singers, primarily in the 80s and 90s. These amazing vocalists right here that have worked with Seth Riggs. And what I think that this is, while I think that most people will see this as proof that speech level singing is absolutely the best technique to study, after all, he taught, Christian Bale, he taught Anita Baker, he taught Michael Bolton, so there he is. He taught Jack Black, he taught Olivia Newton-John, Ozzy Osbourne, he's taught all these really, really famous people. You can take that one of two ways. Now, most people are going to take that as, oh, wow, there's something about this technique that is so incredible that look how well it's working. Everyone needs to work with this dude. Or you can take it as just the power of branding, the power of personality. Seth is a very, very charismatic teacher. He's an incredible teacher that can really connect with people. And there's even a lesson that you can find with him teaching Michael Jackson back from, I think, 1982. No, that's too early. Maybe 1989. I can't remember. I think it was an odd number. Anyway, from him teaching Michael Jackson that lesson, and Seth is very charismatic. Like he's very direct, no BS, straight to it. And that is something that a lot of singers really, really identify with. And so the other way that you can take that list is that singers talk and producers for singers talk. And so if everyone's going to take, this X, Y, and Z artist went in to take a lesson with Seth and thought it was amazing, then other artists are going to find out about that pretty soon. He's built a very, very successful studio just built on reputation. And that is very, very important. Does that mean 100% truthfully that speech level singing works? I don't necessarily think that him just working with a lot of famous people proves that. I have my own opinions, and I do believe that SLS and IVA and most of these kind of contemporary vocal methods that are built on the SLS model are very effective. And I think they are very effective for a reason. And I think one of the biggest things is that's important to point out is that all of these techniques place a big emphasis on connection. Singing in mixed voice is another way to put that. Discovering the bottom part of your voice, the chest voice, discovering the top part of your voice, the head voice, and blending them together to create a seamless whole. So rather than E and having a break in the middle, E, singing through that entire section. That was a D3 up to an A4, by the way. Definitely through my first passage. They all place an emphasis on the importance of bridging, of mixing, of connection, of singing from the bottom to the top part of your voice. And one of the reasons that I think that this is really important is because I have personally found, and I personally believe, that being able to sing with a mix between the chest voice and the head voice is really, really in that it gives you the most options. If you have to break every single time that you go up to a high note, ma 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 ma, which is very, very common. That's very, very common for a lot of beginner singers. If your voice needs to break in order to get up to that high note, then you're going to be very limited in terms of the options that you have in order to sing that. And so learning how to ma 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 ma, sing in that mixed voice, that's an F sharp 4, by the way. Learning how to be able to do that without just breaking into falsetto is very, very important, because then if you have a song that requires you to sing in falsetto, then you can. Or if you have a song that requires you to sing in a belt on an F sharp 4, you can. If you need to sing a song that splits it right down the middle and lets you sing in that beautiful mixed voice, you can. You have all of these options. And that is what I think is so, so very important and versatile with this idea of being able to prioritize the mixed voice. So I'd like to see some questions from you guys about SLS, about IVA, about vocal methods in general. I'd really, really love to see any questions that you guys have about that. Dusan said, unrelated, but I love your picture frames on the wall. Very nice touch. Thank you so much, Dusan. I really appreciate it. When I moved into this new place, I wanted to decorate the wall kind of fancy. So thank you for the nice words. Arn says, can you show your different vocal registers, please? Like chest, mixed, head voice, falsetto? Absolutely. So here's the way that I'll describe them. And by the way, I cover all of these. So it's really cool. In our monthly class called 30-Day Song Master right there, you actually learn to sing 2 new songs every month, but every month is focused on a new vocal skill. And it all follows the idea of what I call the perfect performance pyramid. And by the way, the perfect performance pyramid isn't related to SLS or IVA or anything like that. This is exclusively mine, although obviously like I take inspiration from some of those other techniques because I think that the way that they solve vocal problems is really cool. But like, for example, like the first month in 30-Day Song Master, we'll work on pitch and chest voice. The following month, we'll work on head voice. The following month, we'll work on mixed voice. And you're actually working on songs that will teach you how to sing in these different vocal registers rather than just a ton of vocal exercises. So to answer your question, Arn, okay, chest voice is for males what I would identify as anything below typically around a D4. D4 is the highest, generally speaking. Again, these are very general, but below and anything below that D4. So theoretically, all of this is in chest voice. Ma 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 ma. Chest voice is created by thick vocal cords that are contracting really fully, and that's what creates that rich ah sound. Now, you can also sing that breathy if you want to. Ah, and you might actually enjoy the sound of that lighter chest voice even more. However, it's important to learn how to get that full vocal cord contraction first of the chest voice because it actually supports the head voice more. The head voice for males, generally speaking, starts around, you start your transition or your bridge up to the head voice, starting around E flat 4, E4, F4, usually around A4, B flat 4, B4 for ladies. And again, these are kind of general guidelines. That's where the head voice transition starts. But I would say that the actual head voice really, really starts to come in fuller around like an A4. ma 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 ma. So a couple of things about that top note. Rather than ma 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 ma, it's not just falsetto. Falsetto is kind of the breathy version of head voice. Head voice in my mind is kind of the vocal register that starts typically around that, you know, G4, G sharp 4, A4 area for guys, and then continues all the way up to the top part of your voice until you get to whistle register. But there are a couple different ways of singing in head voice. You can sing in kind of a full head voice, like in where it sounds really round and full and resonant, but it's not just chest voice either. It's not just the full raw gut sound of chest voice. But you could also sing that note in falsetto. Matthew says, "Oh, you wearing a Rancid shirt gives me a totally different perspective on you." It's really cold here today, so I wanted to wear my sweater. I love this sweater. My girlfriend got this for me. Um, so to summarize, chest voice, bottom part of the voice, head voice, top part of the voice. But even within head voice, there are a couple different ways to sing that note. You can sing that in a mixed voice, or you can sing that in falsetto. So like a mixed voice would be like ma 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 ma. That's a mixed voice because I'm not breaking in order to achieve that. I'm keeping my chest voice, my head voice connected. In a falsetto would be like a ma 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 ma. You hear the very clear disconnect. Now it takes a really long time to develop the head voice to the part. Not always a really long time, but certainly a long time by today's standards. You know, everyone expects things to happen within like a single lesson. It won't always happen within a single voice lesson. It might take weeks or months or maybe even a year to develop that top part of your voice into something really full. Great question. Do you really think anyone can learn to sing, even if they're an absolute beginner with no talent whatsoever? If you know what I'm trying to say, yes, I do believe that anyone can learn to sing. But I also think that depends on your definition of learn to sing. Like, is it learn to sing well? Is it learn to Is it learn to become a master of vocal technique? You know, if you're starting at 50 years old, and you've never sung before, maybe you're just learning how to sing on pitch. But here's the point, and this is what I think that everyone tends to forget about. No matter what level you're at, even if you're a total beginner, by the way, I don't believe that there is such a thing as a perfect performance. But if we're trying to get there, what are the skills that a singer needs to have in order to get there? Well, there's definitely an order of operations, if you will. There's definitely a method to achieving a better and better performance. It starts off with rhythm and pitch, mastering your chest voice, discovering your head voice, blending them together to create the mixed voice, learning to sing with different vocal effects, discovering your own vocal style. How do we do that? Well, vocal exercises are a very, very effective way of helping you get to those higher levels. So, even if you're a total beginner and have no talent, can you learn to sing on pitch? Yes. Even if you're a total beginner and have no talent whatsoever, can you sing in chest voice? Yes. So, see that I'm not phrasing it as like, can you be a great singer even if you're just starting out? That's what makes a great singer. This is a very subjective thing, but from my perspective as a voice teacher that like runs through this grid all the time with my singers and I'm constantly evaluating singers according to these different vocal skills. Once you have all these different vocal skills that are listed there in that pyramid, well gosh, I mean, we're starting to look really good. If you can sing on pitch, sing in mixed voice, sing with different vocal effects like vibrato, crescendos, sustains, and you have your own vocal style, are you a good singer? I think so. So I object to the form of the question just a little bit, just because it's vague, and I try to make everything really, really clear. And by the way, in case you're interested, there is our monthly program. I just dropped the link right there to 30-Day Songmaster, where every month I actually build on the skills from the previous month. So you get personalized feedback from me so that you're able to really, really get to that next level much, much better. Next question. Let's see. Where am I supposed to feel the vibration of the mixed voice? Trying to mix is really demanding for me. I think my placement is wrong. Okay, so here's the thing, Finn. So everyone feels the sensations of singing differently because everyone has a different anatomy, different physiology, right? Everyone has different anatomy. They don't necessarily have different physiology, I think. Sorry, talking out of my butt on that one. I'm not a doctor, not a medical doctor, but I do know that everyone has a different anatomy, so different people feel different things. Some people feel mixed voice is very nasal. Some people feel that mixed voice is placed very far forward. Some people feel that it's placed very far back. Some people feel that their vocal cords zip up when they mix. Are any of those incorrect? Some of them are factually wrong, but is it helpful for me to tell a singer, you know what? That's not actually right. Actually, the vocal cords don't. You know what? If someone's mixing in front of me, I'm like, yes, dude. Yes, yes, yes. Way to go. Way to go. Keep that same feeling. Yeah. Keep singing it nasal. Yeah. Keep the vocal cords zipping up. If it's something that we need to fix, then absolutely. But those are just a couple of examples of what people feel mixed voices like. For me personally, I feel a better connection when I'm singing in mixed voice than when I'm singing in falsetto. And what I mean by that is literally like I feel like my vocal cords closing a little bit more. Ma 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 ma. So that's A4 right there. I feel more touch in my throat than ma 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 ma. But again, the best way to find out for sure is to get someone on the outside to tell you, which is what's really cool about the 30-day Songmaster program that I dropped the link to. It's very affordable. You actually get personalized feedback from me every month. I personally listen to every single one. Great question. Let's see. Arn, says I have a huge crack when going higher in head voice. Yes, that means that you're not mixing. If you have the vocal crack, that means that you're not mixing. Ma 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 ma. How do you get over the embarrassment to sing as a beginner that also lives in their parents' house? You know, I was actually just thinking about this yesterday. Can I tell you guys just a real quick funny story? I was mowing the lawn. I live in this little neighborhood with all these old houses that are really close together. And it's a really cute little neighborhood. I wish I could turn my camera around so that you could see. But all the houses are really close together and they're really small. And when I first moved in, I was really, really excited because it meant that I was going to finally be able to play my drum set. I used to live in kind of like an apartment or a townhouse kind of thing. And I wasn't able to play my drum kit because drums are really effing loud. They are so loud. And I didn't want to subject my next door neighbors to that. And so I was really excited to move into this house because this house has a detached garage where I can put all my drums and I can make all my noise and stuff like that. And I was mowing the lawn yesterday and I wanted to take a little break. So I went to the garage and I started playing my drums. This is like 2:00 in the afternoon. And my next door neighbors, they have this little girl named Cora, super sweet, super cute. And she came over, let herself in my backyard and opened up the garage while I was playing drums. And she was like, Matt, um, my dad is trying to sleep right now. Is it okay if I think you might be making a little too much noise. She's this little girl. She's so sweet and so cute. And of course I stopped playing. But I just thought it was really funny because like even me at 36, almost 37 years old, I still get embarrassed about making noise and playing in front of people and stuff like that. But when I first moved into this house, you know, as soon as I met my neighbors, I was like, hey, by the way, I play drums, I'm a musician, I'm a singer, I make a lot of noise. And so, you know, if I'm ever bothering you, you just let me know. And this is one of the things that I've learned as a musician is, I'm sorry to say it, but musicians have to make noise. You have to make noise. There's no way around it. You cannot practice quietly on your own and get better at something like singing. And I'll tell you a quick story about that too. But basically, if you're singing too quiet, you're probably adding too much breath to your singing, or you're not actually putting a sufficient vocal load on your vocal folds, on your chords. And so you're not actually building any of the strength or the coordination that you need to sing strongly. And this is something that I made a mistake with in the early days, was you have to practice singing loud as well as singing quiet. Now, some singers, they sing too loud, and that's a different problem altogether. But if you're embarrassed about singing in your parents' house, all I would say is part of growing your identity as a singer is sometimes you have to have those challenging conversations with people and be like, hey, I'm going to be practicing my singing. It might be kind of loud. Let me know if it's bothering anyone. Right. But there are lots of other places that you can practice your singing. You can do it in the car. You can wait for everyone to leave. You can go out to the garage. You can practice in a closet. You can go and find a practice space somewhere. But if you're just starting out, then and you still live with your parents, I think it's totally natural and normal to practice singing at home, and you might just have to feel a little embarrassed a little bit. That's definitely part of it. Let's see. How do you sing falsetto? Bear says. So singing falsetto means that typically you're singing notes in the top part of your voice in the head voice range, but without the vocal cord closure. And one of the easier ways to do that is to sing more narrow vowels, like oo or e. So, for example, starting from the A4, ooh, ee, ee, ooh. So number one, I would find the range in the top part of your voice where that falsetto can come in easily. And number two, I would sing it on more narrow vowels such as ooh and e, and practice that little yodel. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Matt, what's the best thing to drink or not drink to keep the vocal cords clean and clear? Well, Mystic, this is a very individual thing. Some people, they can drink alcohol, they can smoke cigarettes, they can drink all the caffeine, they can not drink water, they can eat fried foods and spicy foods and stuff like that, and they can still sing totally fine. But me personally, my voice is pretty sensitive, so I have to be really careful about what I put on it. For example, this morning, I'm drinking my tea, but I'm actually drinking it without any milk or anything in it, because sometimes that will impact how much mucus my throat produces. If I put actual milk in here, actual dairy milk, then that would be harder. Um, Now, I like a little bit of a pick me up in the morning, which is why I'm drinking tea, but definitely water is the easiest thing. Um, let's see. Matt, what amount of time would you recommend to practice every day if you want to get good faster than normal? Also, what's a solid practice to get the most out of you so you don't what's a solid practice so you don't waste your time? So, here's what you need to know. I would say if you're practicing correctly, which means that you've actually found a vocal warm up from a voice teacher that you really trust and someone who knows your voice, and they give you a practice routine, then I would say 30 minutes a day is plenty. 30 minutes to an hour a day is plenty. And the way that I would do that is I would probably do about 30 to 40 minutes on the warm ups. No, 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 no. Mom, 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 mom. All these different silly warm ups. I would recommend practicing those about 30 minutes a day, 30 to 40 minutes a day. And then the last 20 to 30 minutes, I would recommend practicing them with a song. Now, most likely, if you're asking that question, it actually means that you don't have a vocal coach, since you're asking what is a solid practice to get the most out of so you don't waste your time. Great question. I put one together. Let me see if I can find it. So basically, I'm going to just go back to what I said for just a second ago. So Singer's ultimate warm-up. Yeah, this is it right here. And this is the male and the female version combined. So you can check this out. Just go to that page right there and you can buy the audio warm-up. It's just audio. So I just said that you want to find a vocal warm-up that is customized for your voice specifically, right? Now, in a perfect world where I heard every singer that came to me, I would be able to create a customized vocal warm-up. But the way that I was able to create the ultimate warm-up, the link that I just dropped right down there, the way that I was able to create that was I looked across the 2000s. I keep notes on every student, every private student that I teach. And I looked across the notes that I wrote down for every one of those students. And in those notes, I'll actually write down, what is here, let me show you actually. This will be fun. Okay, check this out. So this was one of my students, Jeremy. And like you can see the date. I should have cleaned this up. Should have made it look a little bit prettier. But you can see that week to week, let's say this was June 19th versus June 25th. You can see that even week to week, we changed the exercises that he did slightly. This week we did a na, or sorry, this week we did a na. This week we did not do a na. So what I did was I actually looked through all of the notes that I'd kept on all my students over the years, and I said, like, what are the 10 to 15 exercises that worked well for all of those singers, no matter what level they were at. And what I did was I put all of those exercises together into the ultimate warm up, right? So there's not a single warm up that you can find out there that's going to be better than having a private lesson with a well-trained vocal coach, but that's pretty close. And the logic behind it, I think, is pretty sound. Does it assume some things about your abilities to sing a certain way? Yeah. Is it possible that you can sing along with that and maybe do some exercises wrong? That's always a possibility, unless you're actually getting one-on-one feedback from somebody. So, but in an effort to make that affordable for everyone, I thought that was a pretty clever way to put that together. Great question. So that's what I would recommend practicing. How long should a vocal warm-up take? About 20 to 30 minutes, I would say. Let's see. After a chest infection, I've completely lost my mix on notes approximately B to D. My voice sounds either side, but on those notes in my head mix, it gives me nothing, and I have a homework assignment due. Please help. So what is B to D? Tell me which B's and which D's we're talking about there. Is that B4 to D5 that you're talking about, Carpenter? And I would kind of have to hear you to know exactly what that is. Let's see. I wanted to soften and make my mix and head voice fuller instead of sharp. I let off, relax my voice, and just turns to pure crackle like a goose. Are there any exercises I can do to unlearn this? So if you relax too much, so if you go, what they're talking about, I think, is if you go from like a nay 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 nay, that's sharp. That's a sharp sound, right? But if you let off nay 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 nay, it just kind of crackles, right? So what I would suggest there, Beansons, is I would go for levels of kind of brattiness and nasality. So rather than a nay, 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 let's call that a 5 out of 5 bratty. Then let's do a 4 out of 5. Nay, 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 nay. 3 out of 5. Nay, 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 nay. 2 out of 5. Nay, 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 nay. 1 out of 5. Nay, 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 nay. Where I go from really, really bratty and brassy towards totally normal. So that's what I would recommend first. That's how you can start letting off of the attack and the sharpness first. And by the way, the difference between 5 out of 5 bratty and 0 out of 5 bratty is like, that's hard. That can take a while. So really go through it slowly. Let's see. Coach has said, I don't care if I'm bothering anyone. That's funny. Maher said, I had a young vocal coach where he was teaching me and telling me that I have to sing quietly as many singers sing quietly. I knew something was off. That's how he was taught. So I don't think there's anything wrong with singing quietly. It's just you have to also be able to sing not quietly, right? You have to actually learn how to sing with a full voice as well as learning how to sing quietly. Now, the majority of singers are probably going to sing too quietly. That's what I have found. I would say like 60 to 70% of singers probably sing a little too quietly. So the vast majority, in my opinion, need to learn to sing with a fuller voice. Let's see. Mystic says, thanks. Ironically, I'm drinking tea with milk, which might be the reason that I'm building up mucus. Yes. How hard should you be pushing when you sing louder? I would say you can sing as loud as you want, as long as you don't spread the vowel. As long as you're not spreading the vowel, as long as you're not singing flat. In other words, you're still singing on pitch. Versus and then third, I would say just that you're not straining, like I just demonstrating, that you're not spreading the vowel, you're not going flat, and you're not straining in order to get up to that top note. So sing as loud as you want. It's going to help you. Let's see. My mind goes a little far ahead in the song, so I'm not concentrating on the precise notes in the present if it makes actual notes inaccurate. Any tips or exercises? I would say that it's pretty typical to be thinking a few notes ahead, right? Because as singers, we want to be proactive, not reactive. We don't want to be singing a line from a song and then the next line takes us totally by surprise and there's a high note that I totally forgot about. Oh, and there was a belt here that I totally forgot. And before you know it, you get two in your head. But what I would say you could try, Belle, is maybe try singing a few lines at a time. You know, try the verse, then try the chorus, rather than going through an entire song all at once. I like to break songs down into chunks and focus on those. Jack is clarifying. So you recommend warm-ups for 40 minutes a day and then singing with them. But what about vocal workouts? I heard they're different and you need them. I do the Cheryl Porter ones. Okay, so here's the thing. So I would kind of qualify 3 different parts to a good vocal practice session. The first one would be what I call the vocal warm-up, right? Where you're doing things like the lip trills, maybe a tongue trill, maybe an and stuff like that. Some of what we call SOVT exercises, semi-occluded vocal tract exercises. But basically, like, you know, some of these really silly exercises. That's the vocal warm-up part. And then I would get to the middle part, which I consider kind of be the vocal building workout. It's kind of like the strength training at the gym. You know, maybe you run on the treadmill for a few minutes and then you go and you do deadlifts or you do bench press or something like that. And that's the middle part of that. And that might be things where you're really building some of the skill and the coordination, like the nay, like the nah, like the mum, more open mouth exercises versus the some of the closed mouth exercises, right? So that's the second part. And then the third part would be song application. So you have the warm up, you have the building, the skill building or the strength training, and then you have the application to the song. Those are the 3 parts. So you'd recommend warm-ups for 40 minutes a day? No, I'm when I say a warm-up, I'm talking about the warm-up section as well as the strength building section. I consider both of those kind of vocal warm-ups, if you will, because they're both exercise based. They're both doing different vowel and consonant sounds. So what actually distinguishes the vocal warm-up from the vocal building? They're kind of similar, but I do see a difference personally. I just don't know if my students really need to know that difference. And so for me, it's just easier to just like, yeah, I do, warm up exercises for about 40 minutes. And then the last 20 to 30 minutes, I'll work on a song usually. Great questions. Thank you very much, Jordy. I appreciate it. And by the way, if you guys want to contribute to this channel, I mean, one of the best ways is just enrolling in my 30-day Songmaster challenge. It's absolutely amazing. It's a monthly subscription course, and you're going to get a ton out of it. So rather than doing a Patreon or anything like that, you're actually going to get a lot out of this. There's so much that you'll get out of this. Let's see. What should I do if my voice isn't as powerful as it should be? So, Joel, I think the question is like, why isn't your voice as powerful as you want it to be? Is there too much breath in the tone? Or is it that you're just not singing strongly enough? And here's the difference. So I can sing loud but breathy. Ah. So there's breath in the tone. Or I can sing quiet and breathy. Ah. So I think that that's the first question that you need to answer. Regardless, one of the most helpful things that you can do is do some simple chest voice exercises. Like, for example, the 5-tone count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's not supposed to sound pretty. It's supposed to sound like you're just literally singing the words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're not trying to go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is probably how I would sing a song more. Instead, we're just trying to discover and strengthen that chest voice. Great question. She-Hulk Yogi says, I want to sing out. Baby, I want you to sing out too. I love you, baby. Joel says, if I get a class with you, could you help me with my vocal problems? Absolutely. So it really just kind of depends on how much personalized feedback if you want. The absolute best course that we have that offers the most actually unlimited personalized feedback for the first year is the Master Your Voice course. So I'll drop a link to that. It's actually on sale right now. We just dropped it, $200. So I'll go ahead and share a link to that. And basically, Master Your Voice is unlike any other singing course because as soon as you enroll, you send in a recording of yourself singing. And I do a 7 to 12 minute video for you, just like this, where I'm literally watching your video with you, breaking down everything that you're doing as you sing, prescribing exercises to help you with it. It's actually really, really cool. So I definitely check that out. So could I help you with your vocal problems? Absolutely. And by the way, guys, just so everyone understands this, the number one thing that you need to do to actually improve your singing is you need to get someone who knows what they're talking about to hear you. We all love the idea of simple, quick fixes. We all love the idea of vocal hacks. We all love the idea of different vocal techniques and stuff like that that you can find on YouTube. I'm on YouTube. I totally get it. I have vocal warm-ups on YouTube. But the problem is you have no idea whether you're actually doing those exercises correctly or not. And, I was teaching a young man just 2 weeks ago on the live stream. And, he thought that he was actually singing along with the warm-ups on pitch, but he wasn't. And he had no idea that he was doing that. And he'd been doing that for months. It drives me nuts and it makes me sad to see. So it's a blessing and a curse, all this online stuff, because it's like, on the one hand, I'm able to reach so many more people, and I'm really, really grateful for that. But it's also really challenging to see so many people get confused or think that they're making progress when they're not actually. Great question. I'm going to answer one more question, and then I'm going to let you guys go for the day. So Sugar says, I feel like my falsetto is extremely consistent on each day. Any tips? So what I would say with falsetto is first, I would actually work on the mixed voice. I would work on connecting the bottom to the top part of your voice. Ma 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 Again, it's not designed to sound pretty. You want to make sure it's on pitch, and you want to make sure that you're not straining, right? But I would recommend starting off by practicing your mix first, because if I want to go to falsetto, it's so easy. Ma 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 ma. I can sing in falsetto all day because I've actually built the skills. It's kind of like I'm trying to think of a good example. It's like if you can like play real it's harder to play with a drumming example. It's harder to play soft and slow sometimes than it is to play really fast. And the way that and it's because usually when you play fast, you're screwing something up. But in your mind, you're doing better than you think you are, because it's just before you know it, you're on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one. And that's really, really good for our ADD brains. Is like we're already on to the next one rather than slowing down and really playing deliberately or singing deliberately. This is so very important for everyone to learn, is that we have to really, really slow down and actually figure out what's holding us back rather than just rushing on to the next thing. Whistle register, belting, vibrato, singing on pitch, singing riffs and runs. It's so tempting to just move on to the next thing. But unfortunately, most people, like I was talking about, are seeing this. They're not actually realizing that there's a step-by-step process that you have to follow in order to get to a better performance. Can you work on several of these different skills at once? Absolutely. But it's really, really tricky to do that if you don't actually have the feedback to know what it is that's holding you back. And so I'd like to invite you guys to join 30-Day Songmaster one more time. Great way to support the channel. And at the same time, it's going to help you sing so, so much better. Every month, we learn to sing 2 new songs that teach a different vocal skill. And it's an awesome, awesome program. It's one of the best things we've ever done. So I really, really appreciate all of you guys being here. It's been so fun to hang out with you, talk vocal technique for an hour, and have a great rest of your day. And I look forward to seeing a lot of you guys inside the course. See you later.